This is a freeway in Los Angeles, a city known for its worst traffic jams. So it turns out a number of those people in these cars at 8:30 a.m. are sitting in there with their McDonald's milkshakes. So it turns out it was a convenient breakfast. And this actually comes from Clay Christensen's jobs to be done theory. The job that all of these people were trying to get done was, look, I had a long and boring drive to work and I needed something that would keep me engaged with life while I'm driving a car. I'm not hungry yet, but I will be by the time it's 10 a.m. So I just want something to keep me full when I get into work. And when they looked at, the research and they spent time at McDonald's asking people who came in, what did you do? What did you have for breakfast last time you did this? A lot of them had hired everything from donuts and sneaker bars, bagels and bananas. And there were different reasons that they came up with and said, look, if I had a Snickers bar, I felt really guilty. The banana was messy. The bagel was messy. I had to hold the steering wheel with my knees while I put cream cheese onto the bagel, right? And this, I hope, just drives home the point that depending on the job to be done, what is it that the customer is trying to accomplish, there can be multiple different solutions that will land home. So here's one thing to think about when you think of the problem and how big the market actually is, which is one way to think about this is how many customers are out there that you can sell milkshakes to. But if you think about what else they had hired to do the job of the milkshake in the past, you'd find that they'd hired donuts, Snickers, etc. So then that raises the question, how big is the market really? This is what Clay Christensen had to say. He said, people don't simply buy products or services. They hire them to make progress in specific circumstances. And this is actually the core of it. What is the user trying to accomplish? And how can you add nuance to that? Which is, what is the problem? Why does that problem matter? And what is the outcome that the user is expecting? I find that the jobs to be done is really helpful in clarifying the end goals and outcomes for a user. Here, it tells you exactly what the customer is ultimately trying to accomplish. And let's not forget, everyone, you and me, we're all trying to make progress and achieve something. We're trying to drive an outcome or transformation, whether it's in my personal life, professional life, right? And in all of these moments, we're always seeking to hire certain products and services to enable this. And this is exactly what jobs to be done actually talks about. What are the different products we could actually hire for each of these problems that we've got here, right? So one is capture this moment privately for me and for her, embarrass my friend in front of her friends. And especially this is if you're taking a picture, get this file backed up online so I can point others to it, make this cool and interesting like me, get this edited and into my portfolio. And, arguably, it's just a simple phone app. But if you actually think about this, you can see that there are different solutions that we can actually come up with, right? Depending on what is the job to be done. If it is just about capturing a moment for me and for her, it's probably iPhoto. But if you want to make this look cool and interesting, Instagram is probably the place to be. And this is where jobs to be done really helps, because what it does, it helps you not limit the imagination of what your product could be, right? But it helps you focus on making things that people actually want. And when you're solving needs that already exist, you don't need to convince people that they need your product. It's just easier to make things people want than it is to make people want things. And so for you, the challenge at any given point in time is making sure you've identified precisely what is the need and then improve upon that through your product. This is something I firmly believe, which is that people don't buy products. They actually buy better versions of themselves. So when you are trying to win customers or users, think about this. Are you trying to list the attributes of the product, the flower, or are you just describing how awesome it is to throw fireballs? Because, folks, one thing is no one cares about the features. They actually just care about a better life and how your product can help them have that better life. So the point being, upgrade your user, not just your product. So how do we do this, right? What is the job that the customer is trying to accomplish? And which is basically, why does this problem matter? What is it? What is exactly the problem? So you've got to understand the functional, the personal, and the social needs. And the other aspect is, when is the job done? It is done when the customer makes progress or achieves their outcome through your product. And then, of course, just talking about how it helps them, whether it is on a personal front, a social front, or the functional front, of course. And one thing I think that I would like to emphasize here is that every job is actually a bundle of functional, social, and emotional needs and aspirations. It cannot just be purely functional and not solve a social or an emotional need. So do keep that in mind as you think about building out your jobs to be done statements and thinking about how your product is going to solve for it. Here's a quick cheat sheet on how to understand whether it's a functional need, a personal need, and a social need. For a functional need, what are they trying to accomplish? For a personal and emotional need, you want to understand how does the person feel in a situation, which is what are their own needs that they're trying to meet, and how do they feel when they accomplish it, right? And of course, from a social need perspective, the question is how do they want to be perceived by others, and how does the product help address that? This is super important as you think about communicating the problem to your team, and also then when you talk to your users, at least you can then hit the sweet spots of what makes this a compelling product for someone who's trying to buy from you. How do you write out the job to be done? Basically, it's 3 parts, which is what is the problem you're trying to solve for the customer? Why does it matter? And what is the outcome that your customers hire you for? Because the crux of this is that a problem well stated is actually a problem half solved. And a clear JTBD statement will help you communicate with absolute clarity what a specific group of people want in a specific circumstance. And then what are the barriers to getting it, right? So what you can then do is communicate with clarity what is the problem and what is the outcome you're looking for. So for example, if I were to talk about myself, when I'm stuck at home during the pandemic, I'm not able to see my friends and family and friends and hang out with them. What would I do if I had to do this? Right? Which is if I wanted to just hang out with my family and help me feel like a close-knit family. I've listed out a whole bunch of statements to just walk you through how you could write these and also figure out what are the products that you would hire in these situations. So for example, if there was an 8-year-old kid, I just want to play with my friends and draw together so I can have fun again. For my work self, it is I haven't hung out with my work colleagues in a while and I really want to celebrate this product launch. For a friend, it could be that, we haven't caught up with a bunch of friends in a while, like we used to do on a Saturday evening, and I missed the vibe of a bar in my neighborhood. Or if it was your sales team, it could just very well be that I want to get these demos done. One answer for all of these needs could very well be Zoom. But if you had to zone in further, in my case, I actually just use WhatsApp to hang out with my family and friends on a video call. I know friends who have their kids joining DIY to just make sure that their kids can hang out with their friends and draw together. At work, we end up using Let's Dive to just catch up and play games with each other. If you're just another person looking for some fun conversation while you sit with a drink in a hand on a Saturday evening, it could be Clubhouse. And for your sales team, it could very well be Loo. So if you look at this, the outcome is very, very important for a user. And so by focusing on both the job and the context, you can both develop and market products well tailored to what their customers are trying to do. And this is where the entirety of a user's journey becomes super important, right? Which is where and when they're using it, what is their motivation, and what is the desired outcome. And one thing to remember here is that the need is stable. Usually it doesn't change over time, and it has no geographic boundaries and is solution agnostic. This was Discord. Right? For example, when I want to jump into my favorite game, but I don't know if there are people around to play, help me safely coordinate with a group of like-minded gamers so I can easily find a way to enjoy my favorite multiplayer game. And this suggests you could end up with features like just make it easy to find people through public or private servers, or you could just switch easily from text to voice as you organize and jump into a game. When I, as a founder, want to learn about how to build a startup in India and Southeast Asia, but I don't know where to meet or learn from other founders like myself, help me come together with a group of like-minded founders and learn from the experience of others so I can build a much-loved product in an enduring company from this region. Well, there you guys have it. And that's actually how we thought about search, right? And this is just super important because a good crisp jobs to be done statement will just capture the underlying motivations, triggers, and context. It'll remove bias. It'll build empathy for your users. And most importantly, you can use this to align across product, marketing, and engineering. And it can be foundational for everything from your product and GTM planning, right? Like you can write your PRD, you can write your product specs, you can figure out which channels to go and market in. And when you have a well-crafted and well-communicated jobs to be done statement, a lot of things fall into place. You have an increased focus across your team. You've got a higher likelihood of delivering value, and a stronger understanding also of competition for your product, which is why you would have often heard, like Netflix, for example, often says, my competition is sleep and is games. That's because there's a very clear understanding of why a user is hiring a particular product. So we looked at, what a founder would want to do in this region. And the questions that we asked ourselves was, how might we, right? How might we provide a meeting space where founders can meet and launch into conversations? How can we enable learning from the best? How can we create a safe space to meet new founders? Or how can we connect to experts? How do we help you share resources to save money, time, and build and launch quickly? And you can see this is actually how we thought about our founder needs. We looked at it at search. Was just very important for us that, to solve these particular challenges that early stage founders face, which is that seed startups are undercapitalized. It takes way too much time. It's lack of access to high quality mentors in this region, and building a startup is just hard, right? It takes an insane amount of effort to build the first product or hire the first engineer, and which is how we thought about Search, the product, and the design choices that we made in terms of capital, in terms of company building, the community, and all of these other things that we do. This is how LinkedIn uses their jobs to be done. One, ask the user to articulate how they would like Premium to help, which is, say, for example, to job search with confidence and get hired, to grow my network, to find leads. And you can see that it articulates in a lot of detail what is a problem and what are the functional, personal, and social needs. And as you can see, that the plans that they offer are very tailored to the outcome that the users want to achieve and how it fulfills the functional, personal, and social needs. So if it's about your career, get hired and get ahead. That's the outcome. And how can you do that? Stand out and get in touch with hiring managers, learn new skills. And you can see this in all of their product offerings, right? Which is in career, their business, the sales, and hiring. One thing to note here before we close out on this piece is there's nothing functional about desire for progress. It's a product that serves a function. I have progress I want to make, and usually I would end up hiring a product to do that function. And this is where LinkedIn gets it right? Like when they describe each product, they're showing you the progress you will make, and then how a product function delivers that progress. So yeah, just when describing each product, they also show you that, every little detail of how it can serve your social and emotional needs.